What's up, Blues fans? Welcome to the newest Blues pregame show here on St. Louis Sports. My name is Brandon, and I got Brandon with me tonight. We're going to talk about the St. Louis Blues Nashville Predators game. It's the third time in 10 days that these two teams face off against each other. It's the final time of the season, too. Let's see what happens tonight after last Saturday's little rumble at Enterprise. It should be a good one. As mentioned, the St. Louis Blues look to continue their win streak, pushing it to, they're currently at a 7-game win streak. They're looking to push it to 8 straight wins. Another win tonight against the Nashville Predators in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena. Brandon, what do we think so far? It's 3 times we've seen this Nashville Predators team in the last 10 days. Little bit of a little boil over from last Saturday's game. There's a lot expected on tonight's game. It's going to be the probably most physical game the Blues and Predators have played this season.
Yeah, out of the two meetings that two recent meetings that these two teams have had, they've had, I think it's close to like 100-something hits and 105 hits and 112 penny minutes between the two teams. So, as the season series between these two teams has gone on, it's progressively gotten dicier and dicier. So I fully anticipate this game to be. I have a feeling Nashville's going to come out with a little bit of a grudge against St. Louis, especially being on their home turf. I feel like they're going to try to do anything and everything they can to try to get a win. But if what we've seen from St. Louis the last several games is they just got to keep that calm, cool demeanor about them, and they got to just go out and do their business and get a win.
Yeah, I 100% agree here that they just need to keep playing the hockey that they're playing right now. I watched the little weekend recap thing, or the last homestand recap thing. Montgomery's talking about, we're just playing hockey. We're just playing our game. We're sticking to our game. This is how we're gonna play, and it's working, and that's how it's gonna be. There's no evidence. They got a very confident group of players right now, which is fantastic at this point of the year, because it's how you want the team to be playing right now.
Yep.
So, let me look back here at our note sheet really quick. Like I mentioned, the tensions in this one, there's been a lot of talk. It's an important game for the Blues. It's still battling for that second wild card spot, but they're 2 points out of the first wild card spot, 2 points behind the Minnesota Wild. So this is a huge 2 points. Vancouver picked up a win last night again over the New York Islanders. I believe Minnesota plays tonight, and the Flames later tonight. We'll double check and make sure that's correct as well.
I believe all three of them play tonight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Even Vancouver. I don't know if they play.
I don't know with them playing last night. They might not play tonight. I think it might just be Minnesota and Calgary, and I think Utah, but I think they played last night as well. But yeah, I know there's at least 2 of them playing tonight, at least.
Right. So it's just another important game though for the Blues to get a 2 points to possibly. I don't know if they would jump the Minnesota Wild. I would imagine it's a good possibility that they jump the Wild if they were to get 2 points tonight. Minnesota doesn't get those 2 points, but then again, Minnesota has games on hand, which every other team does too. How important is it that the Blues get 2 points tonight with a hopeful chance to climb closer to, or even jump the Minnesota Wild?
It's a crucial game. If they win tonight, I feel like they have a very good chance of overtaking Minnesota. Minnesota, if you've looked at their team at all recently, they're riddled with injuries. They don't have Ek. They don't have Kaprizov. I think there's a few other players on their team that are currently out on injury. So, and plus they've have they don't have that great of a record since coming back from the Four Nations face-off. Their goal differential, I think, is negative currently. I think it's at like 7 or 8 minus differential.
Right.
But seeing their schedule and how it is, I think they have a slightly not as hard of a remaining schedule as what the Blues do, but still, if Minnesota is able to somehow get a loss in their game tonight and the Blues are able to come out with a victory against Nashville, I could easily see the Blues overtaking Minnesota for that first wild card spot.
Yeah, it would be huge. I mean, I talked about it on the post game show the other night after the Montreal win. Rather or not, we would rather play. We'd rather see the Blues play the Jets, who they've been very successful in the playoffs just alone. Maybe not so much in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, the Blues have the Winnipeg Jets number.
Yep.
Where would you would you rather play the Winnipeg Jets? Or are you looking at possibly having to play the Vegas Golden Knights with a matchup in the second round of LA or Edmonton?
So James and I kind of talked about this a little bit on Sunday, and we didn't really get into a whole lot of detail with it because it was just throwing up probables and we weren't sure exactly where things were going to be at. But I mean, in all honesty, looking at where the kind of our side of the whole bracket would be, if we were to stick in the second wild card spot and we are going up against Winnipeg, I mean, Winnipeg's had a disaster of a time against St. Louis in the postseason in multiple years. Right. I feel like you saw a little bit of a goalie fight or goalie bout between Bennington and Hellebuck in the Four Nations face-off, and Bennington was lights out compared to Hellebuck was. Right. But also on the flip side of it, I could see them going either way with this matchup because I still think Winnipeg could win, or St. Louis could beat Winnipeg. But on the flip side of that, if you're making it past the first round and into the second round and playing either Colorado or Dallas, I don't think you have as great of a chance. We're playing against Colorado this upcoming weekend, and we played Dallas a few weeks ago, and we lost it was a shootout, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, that was LA. It was an overtime loss. We just thought they lost regulation to Dallas.
Right there, yeah, because Wyatt Johnson had a freaking night that night. But I feel like if you are looking for a better road in the playoffs, I feel like getting into that first wild card spot is probably the easier of the two because you would go up against a Vegas team who you haven't played since the middle of October when your team wasn't the greatest.
Right.
And you by far are exceeding expectations from October till now with this Blues team. And I mean, yeah, you got a lot of guys on Vegas that are playing really well, but I feel like that is a team that if St. Louis is playing the way that they are currently and they're going up against Vegas, I feel like they would be able to take Vegas on. Yeah. And then going into the second round, playing against Edmonton or LA, we've already proven that we can beat LA in a 3-game series in 10 days. And I still feel like if we were to go up against them in a matchup, the best of 7, I feel like Blues would easily take 4 out of 7 easily.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it would be like 3 or 4 and out. I'd probably go to 5 or 6 games, but I could see them probably taking LA and then Edmonton. If depending on, I mean, granted, you probably are going to have Draisaitl and McDavid back at that point. So you're going to be playing up against a healthy Edmonton team, but I still feel like I don't remember the last time that we played in Edmonton, but we'll be playing against them before the regular season ends, and you would have a little bit better of an idea. But I feel like getting into that first wild card spot would be a more beneficial route for the St. Louis Blues at this point.
Yeah. Last game we played against the Edmonton Oilers was February 4th. It was a 3-2 loss, overtime loss, at home.
Yep. That was right before the
Right before
Four Nations break.
Yep.
Yep.
I'll try to go to the season series. Oh, I didn't talk about all that. Anyways, I mean, just in general, look at it, the schedule. Personally, like I said the other night, if I'm looking at long term, like a deep Blues play, like a deep run, like a Stanley Cup final run, Western Conference final run, with the way this team is playing right now, I think I'd want to go the Vegas route. I think it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's the easier path, but it is an easier path in some ways, or somewhat. I do believe that this team can beat Vegas. I believe that they can beat Edmonton. I believe they can beat LA, and I believe they can beat Winnipeg. Colorado and Dallas, whole different story. They're the two.
And we'll have a little bit of a preview of that on Saturday.
Yeah, they're on Saturday. Okay. They're the two tougher teams in my eyes in the Western Conference when it comes to the playoffs. But then again, the way this team's playing right now, I mean, you saw
they could take anybody on.
Exactly. You saw the second hottest team came into town the other night, you know, in the Blues thumped from puck drop to the end of regulation. It was Blues. The offensive zone play was, I mean, there was a little bit there in the second half of the second period where it was a little bit more in favor of the Montreal Canadiens, but for the most part, that game was all Blues. You saw 6 different Blues players score goals across the night, and that's 6-1 win over the so-called second hottest team in hockey since the Four Nations.
Yeah, and break. Thomas and Dylan Holloway both had 4-point nights that night. They both had a goal and 3 assists.
Holloway had a goal. And then
it was Broberg and Thomas. My bad.
But Holloway and Cam Fowler, who props to freaking Doug Armstrong for pulling the trigger on the Cam Fowler trade, because he's been absolutely phenomenal for the Blues since he came over from Anaheim.
Yes, he has.
Just absolutely spectacular. Predators are coming off of a win against the Carolina Hurricanes, who won like 8 or 9 straight games in a row. Not long before this loss, they're 5-4-1 in their last 10 games. We know they're at the bottom, towards the bottom of the Central Division, but they're not a team that you want to that you kind of just want to stick around with and whatnot.
Because a lot of those teams. Yeah, a lot of those teams too that are at the bottom of the standings, they're looking to ruin some of the playoff potential teams and their potential runs. So I mean, they're at this point they're just trying to break St. Louis down in a way to get some to lose this game or get injuries. I don't like saying that, but it's the nature of the beast, and you're gonna potentially possibly see it tonight with hits and whatnot. But yeah.
Well, we saw it the other night. That's the reason Buchnevich is going to miss his 4th straight game, is because of a hit to the head in that Saturday game against Nashville, which led to a lot of what we've seen the rest of that game and what we're probably going to see tonight. I imagine there's going to be some, because they even went after Rob Tom.
It was McCarron
too.
Yeah, because it was McCarron that went after or got the hit on Buchnevich.
Yeah.
That potentially put him out for the rest of that second period of that game, and then he came back for the third, but he was out for the rest of the 2 games after the fact.
Yeah.
But the thing that surprised me was that, and it probably had to do with that you ended up seeing Buchnevich come back into the game.
Yeah.
Was that you didn't see McCarron get any kind of like player safety thing on him compared to Bolduc with the cross check that he had on the Montreal Canadiens player on Tuesday whenever he almost had a knee-on-knee collision with Robert Thomas.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody, we make it out healthy tonight. For this game against Nashville, you go into the game against Colorado healthy. hopefully you'll get Buchnevich back for that Colorado game. It sounds like that's the possibilities that he will be back for Saturday's, I think 3:30 puck drop, 2:30 puck drop.
Yeah, something like that. I know it's the matinee game.
Colorado. Yeah, it's in the middle of a Saturday afternoon. Thanks, ESPN. So look at the lineup tonight. You got Joe Hofer in the net. Replacing, I wouldn't say replacing, giving Bennington a break, because you want your top guy going in to the game against Colorado. But Joe Hofer's been just as good,
lights out, yeah,
as good as Bennington. I think he shared that post the other day in our group here. Let me find it really quick. Somebody did. It was either you or James.
Yeah, it was me. They both had a 3-0-0 record in the last in the 6-game winning streak, which Bennington is 4-0 now, and they both had I think Bennington had a 1.26.
1.96 goals against, and Hofer has 1.0, or just a 1 goal against. Save percentage is 0.92 for Bennington and 9.956 for Joel Hofer. So you're going either way.
Oh yeah, you're rolling possibly with the best goalie tandem in the league currently, probably since the break.
Yeah. Other than that, the lineup doesn't change from the other night's game against the Montreal Canadiens. The first line you have Neighbors, Thomas, and Bolduc, who's been lights out lately. That whole line has been phenomenal to watch. The second line you have Holloway, Shin, Kyrou. Again, another really, really good group going there. Joseph, Sundqvist, Texier, who 2 goals in the last 3 games he's played. So far is pretty phenomenal. On defense, you got Cam Fowler, Nick Leddy, Philip Broberg, Justin Falk, Ryan Suter, and Tyler Tucker. Very physical group here again that we're going to see with this lineup as they take on the Nashville Predators tonight. Tonight's game, you can find tonight's game on FanDuel Sports Network, FanDuel Sports Network Midwest. As long as the Cardinals game's over, don't know what's going to happen in that case because the Cardinals game just started. Yeah. Or you can listen to it 101 ESPN with Chris Kerber.
Yep. One other thing too. Radek Faksa is going to be dressing for his 700th game tonight not as a Blue, but in his career. So that's going to be a good accomplishment milestone for Radek Faksa. Then coming into this game too, I noticed that it was Justin Falk and Cam Fowler each have 13 points since February 22nd, which was tied for 4th for all time, or 4 defensemen in the NHL in that stretch of time. So, you really seen the Blues coming together from both sides, offense and defense, and that's probably the reason why we've had such success in this run that we're currently on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's going to be a fun game to watch tonight. So if you get the opportunity, go watch the Cardinals right now as they take on the Minnesota Twins, as a game 1 of 182 starts today, opening day for the Cardinals as well. And then you'll be able to catch the Blues after that on FanDuel Sports Network. Brandon, thanks for joining me on today's pregame show. My name's Brandon, and we will we'll catch you maybe at a postgame show tonight later on. We'll see what happens. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Share out to all your St. Louis Blues fans, all your St. Louis Cardinals fans, and always, let's go Blues.